Well, the carnage continues around the Southeastern Conference. Yesterday was down in the Bayou as Brian Kelly has shown the door. The third SEC coach handed his walking papers for 2025. Will there be more? That will be one of our major topics of discussion today. So much to get into on this Reaction Monday. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Landrum, Molly, Conrad, I'm Pat with you until 2 o'clock. There is no Kalen DeBoer press conference today because Bama has the week off as they prepare for the LSU Bengal Tigers. We will hear from Hugh Freeze after his Auburn Tigers get a big win on the road in Fayetteville against the Arkansas Razorbacks. We will go to Louisiana in the 11 o'clock hour. Sean Fox from Ruston Sports Talk Radio will join the show. We'll get the very latest boots on the ground in the boot state and find out what is next for LSU. And, of course, Bill Clark, as always. Partner, never a dull moment in the Southeastern Conference on the weekends.
No, there's not. And if you had Brian Kelly getting fired before, you can name almost any other coach in the SEC or in college football on your card, then congratulations to you. Yeah. Wow, the natives are restless. Does this continue to be a trend that we see across college football of major FBS programs making the move at midseason?
Well, it's interesting because everybody told us that LSU didn't have the money to do it. Now they're negotiating his buyout, whatever the case may be. So we'll see if that will pause people in Tallahassee or Auburn or anywhere else from getting rid of their coaches. But a big win for the Auburn Tigers this week, and I know it was the Arkansas Razorbacks, but they had to stop the bleeding somehow. And they were able to do it 33-24 against the Hogs. The most interesting part, and we'll hear more from Hugh Freeze at 1:30, what is the quarterback situation? Because Jackson Arnold, you're paying $2 million a year for Jackson Arnold, and you bench him. So then all of a sudden you ask the question, what is the future of this Auburn football team with or without Jackson Arnold?
Yeah, and what is the future of this Auburn football team? Offensively, it looked like Ashton Daniels gave him a little bit of spark. I will be the first to say at halftime, after the pick six, and then we go to intermission, I thought, well, this would be a great time, opportune time for this defense to kind of lay down and you start looking for signs of guys quitting. But defense, Rayshawn Pleasant, what he was able to do, and Taylon Green. I don't want to take anything away from what Auburn's defense did. Don't. But Taylon Green, that has been his calling card. As many good plays as he makes, he can find ways to make good plays for your team, and that's exactly what happened. But no, I give credit to DJ Durkin. That's really been the consistent that hasn't been there in all other facets has been that defense.
Yeah, they held the Hogs to 331 total yards. That's 182 yards below what Arkansas's average was going into the game. Not to mention the fact that Green had only thrown 5 interceptions the entire season. He throws 3 against the Auburn secondary. So it was a big day for the Auburn defense, but we mentioned it. Freeze benches Arnold after the 89-yard pick six. But to Auburn's credit, they were stubborn with running the football, which they needed to be. So many times this year you keep asking the question, you have success doing that. Why not just keep doing it? I know you want to be multiplicated when it comes from the offensive side of things, but my goodness, when Jeremiah Cobb runs for 153, 230 yards total for the Auburn offense running the football, man, you just got to give it to them and just let them eat. And that's exactly what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, I was surprised that they let him continue to tote it, but you're right, and maybe weather conditions, or it was just a revelation that Hugh Freeze had that this is going to be our best opportunity to win a football game, and you saw it from the start of the game in clutch situations where you did have an undermanned defense on the other side, but Auburn imposing their will on short distance yardage situations, and they stayed consistent. And he should have the legs and the body to do it, because let's be honest, he hasn't had that heavy of a workload in quite some time.
No, you're absolutely right.
It might have been since his days at Montgomery Catholic that he carried the ball that much.
Yeah, he's pretty rested, so he's ready to go. But this was the turning point in the game as Pleasant comes up with the big play. This is the way it was listened to and heard right here on Jocks on the Auburn Radio Network.
Auburn rushes 3. Green throws. It's picked off. It's picked up by Pleasant. He's to the 30, 25, 15, 10, 5. Touchdown. Flag down behind the play.
Yeah, I think you'll get Arkansas on this one, though.
Touchdown, Rayshawn Pleasant.
That was big. That was the turning point. And then from there, Auburn's still having problems in the red zone. That is a problem. I keep reading this about how nationally they're 126th in all of college football in scoring points in the red zone.
Mm.
And so thank goodness their field goal kicking was on spot on Saturday.
Don't even get
because
me started.
You cannot keep getting in the red zone and unable to put it in the end zone. So it's been a problem for Auburn for the entire season.
Yeah, just hats off to Alex McPherson and being able to come up and score points and put in tough situations and being able to come through. But, yeah, Hugh definitely needed that win. That's for sure.
Let's hear from Hugh Freeze. This is the way he sounded on the field after the game, after the big win for the Tigers.
What will you take with you from this victory now the rest of the season?
Well, we're going to enjoy tonight and then get ready for another one against Kentucky. But, we've been so dang close, and we could easily be sitting here with, 5 or 6 or 7 wins. But we're not. And that's life, and what do you do when that happens? And that's what I'm most proud of is just everybody continues to keep working, and I think that speaks for the culture that we have in our building and the leadership we have on our campus.
There you go. That was Hugh Freeze. Once again, uses that word close.
I would really wish he would stop with that. We realize how close the games have been. It's not a good look. It's not a good look. Just quit reminding everybody.
But
we all saw it. We've got a referee that's no longer going to be able to referee. Like, we get it.
In the past, though, he wouldn't have added the part at the end where he said, "But we're not, and that's how life goes."
Okay.
Previously, he just would have said, "Well, we could be 7-1," and then he would have left it at that. So he step in the right direction.
We think so. I hope so. Because at 1:30 today, if he gets up there and he mentions close again, I'm going to throw my headset. But yeah, he's right. You just beat an Arkansas team that I felt like they were in a good spot to beat you. Defense did a good job. You beat a 2-6 Arkansas team.
Check the box.
Well, yeah, I'm happy for the players. I'm happy for the fans. This does not change my outlook as far as the future of Auburn football under Hugh Freeze.
Well, what about the athletics director at Auburn? Surely he came out with a statement, right? After the game? Because you beat the incredible Arkansas Razorbacks?
Oh, you mean that vote of confidence that Hugh Freeze was looking for on Monday?
Yeah, I remember last Monday he was basically begging for a vote of confidence. So surely, right? The athletics director is going to come out after a big win on the road in the Southeastern Conference? Isn't he going to tell the world that Hugh Freeze is his man and we are heading in the right direction, right? Let me see. Let me go over my notes. Do I have, let's see. No, there's no statement. No statement there. Oh, CBS Sports talked to John Cohen after the game. Let's see what he had to say to CBS Sports. He says, "We've got to find a way to get better, and we've had some struggles in the second half offensively. Our defense allowed us to have a successful second half. We just got to keep progressing. Every single game we have played has been winnable. Every single game we've played. Just need to keep getting better," end of quote.
He's right about that. They've been winnable games.
Did I miss the part in there where he says that Hugh Freeze is our coach and Hugh Freeze is going to be our coach for the foreseeable future?
No, he had an opportunity to do that. He did not.
So that's 2 times, right?
Yes.
That he's had an opportunity to do that, and he has not. So you could say he's not doing a disservice to Hugh Freeze or whatever the case may be, but you're seeing athletic departments around the country, they're not waiting around. If they believe it is time to move on, they're going to find the money because LSU doesn't have the money. But you know what? They made a bold move yesterday. They said enough's enough. So then the question is John Cohen ever going to come out and say, you know what? Hugh Freeze is our guy. Enough of this. There's no speculation. Well, he could have ended it right there in a conversation with CBS Sports.
Yep.
But instead, he's talking about getting better in the second half.
So maybe things are going on behind the scenes, and that's why he's not coming out and he's not giving us an opinion one way or the other on Hugh Freeze. And maybe he thinks that anything he say that would be contrived is whatever. Don't know. But I hope it's not a perception thing. If there is a reluctance right now to pull the trigger internally by Auburn and the people that matter that make these decisions, I hope it's not a reluctance because of perception or optics or what is this going to look like because, we got so much backlash for the Brian Harsin stuff. And some of that, yes, it was ridiculous and it shouldn't have happened. But right now it's all about moving forward. It's a business. You see what LSU's done. You see what other schools have done. They're serious about getting all of those pieces moving to find the next head coach. If you believe that Hugh Freeze is your next head coach to take you into the future, then I'm like you. If you don't see that there's any way that he does not survive this season, then why not come out, give him a ringing endorsement?
Absolutely.
But
because
apparently the decision is still out there that you might want to go another direction.
Okay. Well, speaking of LSU, they get embarrassed at home 49-25. Right after the game, I will say this. I was hoping that we would see Brian Kelly attack a tabletop like he did in Las Vegas, but he didn't. Maybe he knew that the writing was on the wall and he was probably going to be fired later that night by Scott Woodward. But take a listen to this question and answer from Brian Kelly immediately following another embarrassing loss by Brian Kelly.
What level of concern do you have for yourself with the faith the program should have for you?
I mean, that's out of my hands. It's impossible for the head coach that's been here, for 4 years and 35 years of doing this, to think anything else but this is my responsibility and we've got to get it turned around. And that's not my decision in terms of whether I'm here or not, but that's what I will do as a head coach that's been doing it for over 3 decades. When things are not going well from a football standpoint, the head football coach has to be agile enough and able to make those changes and find out what we need to do to get our football team to play better.
Well, the athletics director at LSU and the governor of the state of Louisiana made the decision for you. They did not trust you to make those changes because Scott Woodward yesterday said ultimately the success at the level that LSU demands simply did not materialize. I made the decision to make a change after last night's game, period. End of discussion.
And aren't there a lot of rumblings about the future of Scott Woodward?
Absolutely. Should be. The guy hired Jimbo Fisher. I know Ross Bjork ultimately gave the extension to Jimbo Fisher, but he brought Jimbo in under a ridiculous contract, and now he brings in Brian Kelly from Notre Dame on a ridiculous contract. Not to mention the fact that you're paying Ed Orgeron or paid him $17 million not to coach. So now we're above $70 million that LSU alone is paying coaches not to coach. So Woodward is definitely, I heard this last night, and this is from Matt Moscona, who I trust 1,000% because Matt is as connected as anybody with that program down there. He said last night on his emergency podcast that Scott Woodward and the governor of Louisiana are completely different political spectrums. You got a Republican governor, and apparently I guess Scott Woodward is not a Republican or he is not a conservative. He goes the other way, whatever the case may be, but they two do not get along.
They don't jihad.
No. So you just got to wonder, like, are you going to let this guy who signed Jimbo Fisher at Texas A&M and you bring, Brian Kelly down from Notre Dame, you going to let this guy? We talked about Scott Strickland, the disasters that he has done in Gainesville. Are you really going to let him have the opportunity to hire another coach at LSU? So
I like that the governor's involved.
Well,
because the president's not there.
Yeah, the governor. And the funny thing is that the governor appoints everybody to these committees.
Yeah.
And so now the governor is basically stepping up and saying you're charging too much for chicken fingers and tickets need to be reduced because our product on the field sucks.
Wasn't it the president that left for a Big Ten school?
Sounds right.
Yeah. We got that announcement a few months ago that they were leaving.
So Brian Kelly finishes 34-14 at LSU. The first coach of the last 4 not to win an SEC championship or a national championship. Saban did it. Miles did it. Orgeron did it. But Brian Kelly becomes the first coach since Jerry DiNardo not to win an SEC championship or a national championship.
Well, and this by LSU going ahead and making that decision, if you don't think that this affects potentially your pool of candidates, there's only so many that are here that people are actually going to be talking about or realistic fits. And I would think that LSU making that announcement, that certainly could potentially hamper other schools' efforts for getting a particular coach. Or maybe 1 and 1A. So you got this guy. He's your elite. He's your top prize. You're going to take a grand slam swing at this guy. But if he's not there, man, this guy would be a really good fit that we could sell to the fan base. Jimmy Sexton he is now going to be in his element, pulling those strings behind the scenes.
It's the best job on the market.
Yeah,
I don't think it's particularly close either.
If you're in Gainesville and State College, PA, yeah, wasn't a good day for y'all. Not a good day at all.
Mm-mm.
Also wasn't a good day this morning for offensive coordinator Joe Sloan for LSU. He was fired. LSU has the 12th ranked offense in the SEC.
I love the lip reading on the video we play back. You can't throw the ball.
Yeah, and he also said that also is going to cost you your job.
See, was he talking to the OC then, or was that the special teams coordinator after the punt return?
Well, you know, technically the special teams coordinator is not a coordinator. He's an analyst. So he's being paid analyst money. So if you look at all their coaches at LSU, the 10 coordinators on their list, coaching list, he's not one of them. So he's sitting there ripping into an analyst on the sideline. He's not even getting paid the hundreds of thousands of dollars that the other guys are. But anyway, just pointed that out. So now they are going to – now, by the way, Joe Sloan, he had been there for 4 years, worked with Jaden Daniels. He was instrumental, worked with quarterbacks. So now they're going to turn to former Florida State and Charlotte OC, Alex Atkins. He was the tight end coach at LSU. He will now take over as LSU's play caller. So I guess Kane Womack is now going back and probably got the GAs and the analysts inside the Alabama football office building this morning going and pulling tape of Florida State and Charlotte. See what kind of tendencies he's got as they get ready to play Alabama. A busy, busy day down in the Bayou.
It's wild.
So we will obviously continue to talk about that. Alabama, a huge win on the road. When we come back on Three Man Front, we will talk about Alabama surviving and advancing in SEC play. It was ugly offense. Could not get it going until the very end of the game. We'll talk about that. So much to get into on this Reaction Monday on Jocks. It's 10:21. Welcome back. This is Reaction Monday on Jocks. Pat, Molly, Conrad, Landrum with you until 2 o'clock. We'll go to Louisiana at 11 o'clock. We'll get the very latest from Sean Fox for Sports Talk 97.7 in Ruston, Louisiana. No Kalen DeBoer today. They're got the week off. As a matter of fact, the team's got the next few days off before they get back to the practice field. We'll hear from Hugh Freeze later. Also, Bill Clark will be on the show at 1 o'clock to get his feeling on what is going on around college football. Alabama, it was not supposed to be this difficult, but their offense was sputtering throughout the day. But I want to remind everybody, just because you got out of South Carolina with a 7-point win late in the game, let me just remind you how difficult it is in the Southeastern Conference. And I want to take you back to 2014 when a guy by the name of Nick Saban was the head coach of the University of Alabama. Bama was ranked number 7 in America. They were playing an SEC foe at Arkansas. Arkansas was a 500 team, winless in conference. Bama barely wins the game against Arkansas. This is what Nick Saban said after the game.
You know, everybody's got such a high expectation for what our team should be. I was just happy to see our players be happy about playing a game and winning. And it really sort of, if you want to know the truth about it, pisses me off when I talk to people that have this expectation, like they're disappointed that we only won the game 14-13 and in the way we played. Really, that's frustrating. You want to talk about something that's frustrating? That's frustrating to me. For our players who play with a lot of heart in the game.
There you go. Nick Saban reminding everybody how difficult it is. They barely beat an Arkansas team 14-13. A winless SEC team in Arkansas, a 500 team in Arkansas, and you get out of there with a 1-point win. Just reminding everybody, this is tough. It is tough winning football games. It's not an excuse because Alabama did not play their very best, and you still have concerns moving forward about the running game, but a win is a win against a very formidable opponent in South Carolina. It's not like you were playing Arkansas. You were playing South Carolina in front of 85,000 people. You weren't playing in a half-empty building in Fayetteville, Arkansas in a rainstorm. A little bit different. But Alabama gets the win. DeBoer and his aggressiveness throughout the game, it still amazes me that they're doing that. I'm sure Conrad was having a cardiac arrest when they kept going for it on 4th down. But Alabama stepped up when they needed to, got the big turnover at the beginning of the game, and they bookended it with the big turnover on the back end, as Alabama was able to find a way, Landrum, to get that win at South Carolina.
It was a great win, and to do it in that environment. And I was listening to Todd Ellis there on the call of the South Carolina radio network as I was going in between some places, and just to hear that stadium and then to see that stadium and what was going on. Alabama easily could have folded and taken the L, but finding a way to do it and doing it with the guys that have been consistent for you all year. Jeremy Bernard right now is, besides Ty Simpson, is he not the MVP of this offense?
Easy.
Yeah. I mean, the guy's just making plays. Even go back to, and I know that South Carolina, this absolutely had to infuriate them to no end, but you have a 3rd down and long, and then what does Jeremy Bernard do? It's just that extra spin, finding a way to do it. It's the little things he does. It's the big things he does. But big reason why Alabama is where they are.
You mentioned Todd Ellis. This is the way it sounded on the South Carolina radio network as the game was getting to crunch time. Take a listen.
2nd and 4 now after the penalty with 1:51 to go. Ball on the 36-yard line. Quarterback draw up the middle. Sellers gets caught up. He does push forward for a couple yards on the play. And Bama says they've got the full football. Bama does have the football. They say they ripped it from Lenore Sellers' arms.
The ruling no. Is a fumble recovered by the defense. 1st down, Alabama.
All right, here's 3rd down, 3rd and 10 for Bama. Bernard, the nifty wide receiver, is a tailback. They fake a reverse and run him right side, and he's inside the 15 and into the end zone. Bama has just likely won this ball game.
That's the way it sounded. Kind of depressed there on the back end.
Well, during the broadcast that I was listening to Ellis, and I do appreciate him. He's a guy that played quarterback, but just the way that he calls a game, and it's It just fits so well in the SEC. But he kept giving kind of like timestamps, going, well, this would be since 2010, South Carolina has won in this matchup. This would be the biggest win since South Carolina knocked off Georgia. And you could just feel, man, it was going to be a crazy night. And then, oh, yeah, by the way, Alabama still wants to win this game.
My favorite part was not only listening to the hyperbole of Joe Tess, who is just disgusting during SEC broadcasts, but watching the fans of South Carolina just start sneaking down because they were going to rush the field.
It was building.
And just seeing all the little faces of the little co-eds all upset because they weren't going to rush the field and cost Shane Beamer a lot of money. Yeah, this isn't like the ACC where they charge you $25,000 if you get on the field. SEC
cost you a D lineman out of the portal.
Absolutely. It's going to cost you a dime or two. But there's still concerns about this Alabama football team. Alabama had 5 of their 11 offensive drives were 3 and out. Just no running game whatsoever. None.
No.
And you got to go up against Oklahoma coming up in a couple of games.
Yeah.
And that's tough sledding.
As good as your offense had been, they did struggle on Saturday. I'd give credit to South Carolina, but it's not perfect. This is not the best Alabama offense that we've ever seen. But they're really good when they're efficient and everything's clicking. But you're right. What does that look like against Brent Venables with his back against the wall?
Now, Ty Simpson did have the one turnover. He got hit blindside. He fumbled the ball, but he did not throw any interceptions. He went for 253, 2 touchdowns. Lenore Sellers, 222, 1 touchdown that had that pick 6. He did have 67 yards rushing. Bama had a problem bringing him down, which I think a lot of people do. A 240-pound quarterback that's running downhill.
Who was pulling for a Talty last-second field goal to win it?
Oh, I know Conrad was.
Jesse Palmer was, because he thought it was idiotic that Jeremy Bernard scored on a touchdown that last play. And it's like, man, haven't you called like 4 Alabama games this year? I'm just saying, from somebody. He also thought Ryan Williams was like 8 feet tall. And one, it would have been a touchdown, but he had to jump up in the air, caught it, and the DB pushed him out of the back of the end zone. He goes, man, if Ryan Williams just dragged his feet on that one, it's like, dude, he wouldn't have touched the ball if he didn't. Anyways, terrible broadcast from Tess and Jesse Palmer. They were horrible. But
Jesse's from Canada, and so he sometimes, I think, mixes his CFL
and probably the
with his
reason
CFB.
he was doing the game is because his old ball coach got honored.
Steve
Spurrier
he
got
was
honored, and of course, so maybe he wanted to be there for that. I mean, his over the top.
Would have recommended on broadcast because it was actually not discussing. I can't of another team. He calls it like it is.
Worst broadcasters in the world, but it certainly right, and it feels like they when Alabama game they've done it energy back of Alabama losing a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Just a little bit.
Yeah, I would say a lot.
I mean, it is what it is. So.
It's a lot.
But to be fair, there are a lot of things to be critical of Alabama about, but I think the one takeaway you have if you're a fan is that is a game that last year's team would have lost. And this year's team found a way to win that game. So it wasn't pretty. No one's going to bring that up on your resume as a great talking point of why you should be in the college football playoff, but it's a game that if you lost would have been devastating for your playoff hopes.
Well,
found
it
a way
was,
to win, and
to quote Nick Saban back in the day, it was the expletive storm that we thought it would be prior to the start of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it was
lived up
ugly.
to the billing. I'm sure a lot of eyeballs tuned in. I can't wait to see the ratings.
Yeah, so Alabama wins its first game on the road as a ranked opponent against an unranked opponent. That had been the bugaboo for them, just unable to do that. But Kalen DeBoer now is 20-7 in his career in one score. Kalen DeBoer now is 20-7 in his career in one-score games.
I would like to go back and read the transcript of Shane Beamer's press conference. How many times does he say we were really close?
I watched a good bit of it. I don't recall him saying that. You could tell he was extremely disappointed on what took place, especially in the fourth quarter. They had an opportunity to knock off Alabama, but they didn't do so. Matter of fact, before we go to break, let's hear Shane Beamer. This is what Beamer said post-game against Alabama.
I'm thinking we need to finish in the fourth quarter. When you got an 8-point lead at home and you got a team on the ropes, you got to put them away. And we didn't. We had an 8-point lead, and we allowed them to go, whatever it was, 80 yards down the field and convert some third downs. And we did not play well on offense, defense, or special teams in the fourth quarter.
There you go.
Okay. Well, he didn't say that, but he did say we got to finish games. We got to find a way to finish games, paraphrasing. So that would be correct.
Very much so.
Who had the worst fourth quarter would have been South Carolina or would have been Arkansas offensively?
I thought you were going to say Mississippi State and giving up 17 points to Texas.
There were some bad fourth quarters.
Yeah.
You got to finish.
A lot of teams need to finish in this conference.
Got to finish.
All right, phone lines are lighting up. Text messages as well. This is Reaction Money on Jocks. It's 10:35. Welcome back on Reaction Monday. This is Jocks, three-man front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. Just sitting here looking at the Vegas odds at the next head coach of the LSU Bengal Tigers, John Sumrall, is 3-2 odds. That's plus 150 to be the next head coach of LSU. Followed then by Joe Brady, 2-1 odds. Joe Brady's the offensive coordinator for the Buffalo Bills. Of course, we all know Joe. He was there with Coach Ed Orgeron and that incredible LSU offense in 2019. Lane Kiffin, 4-1 odds to leave Oxford to go to LSU. James Franklin, 6-1. Well, that'd be weird if you get rid of Brian Kelly and you bring in James Franklin?
That would be weird. Selling the Y? That'd be a tough one.
Yeah. Eli Drinkwitz is 8-1. Jeff Brom from Louisville, 12-1. Brent Key from Georgia Tech, 14-1.
Undefeated. A little birdie told me that the Governor Landry of the great state of Louisiana, is a really big John Summerall fan. Just worth noting.
Jimbo Fisher is 18-1 to become the next head coach of LSU. I just don't think they're going to let Woodward do that.
Can we have this discussion really quick? Just traditionally, because I know that Napier's name was brought up when Brian Kelly, before he was hired. Could you see the LSU fans having backlash because John Summerall is at Tulane?
I think there's an old guard, yes. They would have a problem with that. But you just swung for a big name at the college game at Notre Dame. You brought him in, didn't work out.
So you could say, you know what, maybe we need to go a different route. Not the coach that's has nothing to do with his physical appearance. Fat and happy.
Ed Orgeron was a failed head coach at Ole Miss. The only success he had was as an interim head coach at USC for a few games. He won a national championship. I mean, Les Miles was at Oklahoma State, for Pete's sake. And he won a national championship.
Well, and what they're telling you by getting rid of Brian Kelly is, in their minds, you have a 4-year window to win a national championship or compete for a national championship. And if you can't do that, then they're going to fire you. So my question would be, what coach out there do you look at and go, that's a guy that in 4 years we can be playing for a national championship? Is that Lane Kiffin? I mean, I like Lane Kiffin, but guy's never made a college football playoff. Is that who you're going to put all your eggs in the basket of? Are you going to go after a James Franklin who got fired at Penn State for that exact issue?
Well, you want to find that guy that's halfway up the ascension hill, right? So when they found Nick Saban out of Michigan State, he was a known coach, but he was by no means considered elite at that time, right?
No.
Just we like what he's seen, what he's been able to do at Michigan State. We think he could do really big things here. So did they view a John Summerall as – because that's the best coach you've ever had. They would take Saban back today.
No doubt.
If he wanted to get back into it.
Matt Moscona from ESPN Radio down in Baton Rouge, Louisiana last night on his emergency podcast. Take a listen to what he said in regards to who LSU – now, this is early. I mean, this was literally hours after the announcement that Brian Kelly had been fired, but he gave us a little bit of an indication of potentially who LSU might look at filling that vacancy.
If you could get Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss, brilliant offensive mind, yes, I fully understand why you would want to do that. A couple of guys with LSU ties in the NFL, Joe Brady and Kelvin Shepard, are worth mentioning. Joe Brady, of course, is the offensive coordinator with the Bills. Now, he may become an NFL head coach, but he's one to mention. And Kelvin Shepard presently played at LSU. Presently is the defensive coordinator with Detroit. Great culture organization there with Dan Campbell in Detroit. That's something to mention as well. And then look at college football coaches that just hated the recruiting piece. Look at a guy like Dan Mullen. I know you might scoff at that, but Mullen had a lot of success, and he is a brilliant offensive mind. He just hated recruiting. It's what cost him his gig at Florida. He just didn't want to recruit. Well, in this day and age, you recruit with dollar signs, not with plane trips and meals all over the place. So Mullen is someone kind of in that vein to consider.
Dan Mullen is currently 50-1 odds to become the next LSU football coach. Those are the same odds as Dabo Swinney. A little bit better odds than Lincoln Riley or Kenny Dillingham at Arizona State.
You can do a lot worse than Joe Brady. But, I mean, as he mentioned, that's a guy that's a candidate for NFL head coaching jobs. But that was the guy that was your passing game coordinator in 2019 when you had arguably the greatest college football team of all time. He knows the program.
Another guy who knows the program, you could call him Dave Aranda.
He might be available. He just fired his offensive line coach 5 minutes ago.
Don't think that one's looks as good now.
All right, let's get to the phone calls. 1-800-239-WJOX. Do the honors, partner.
No Jimbo Fisher, right? There's no possibility of Jimbo.
Jimbo Fisher is 18-1.
All right, so you're saying there's a chance.
5, 6, 7, 8. He's got the 8th best odds according to Las Vegas.
Crimson Convict, welcome in.
What's up, man?
Hey.
Hey, dude. So I'm going to touch on this real quick, and I got something on that coaching search. Conrad explained it to me, and I disagree with it. The defensive back throwing up his hands and letting Jeremy Bernard walk into the end zone. Right play or wrong play in your mind?
For me personally, I thought it was a bad play. I would have pushed him out of bounds. I would have tried to do everything in my power to force Alabama to kick a field goal.
Yeah.
Just because if there's anything about this Alabama football team that should give the fans and the opposition kind of hope, is Alabama's field goal kicking. Even a short field goal. I would say push him out of bounds, try to hold him, make him kick a field goal.
Right. Because in my mind, that's a coin flip with Talty. I understand if Will Reichard is back there, you let him score. But clearly they haven't, pulled the tape on our special teams, because I think even if it's a chip shot within, 30 yards or whatnot, it's a 50-50. I think Talty will crumble under the pressure.
Well, they kept showing the shots of him there on the sideline. He looked like a guy that had a giant ketchup popsicle in a white suit standing there.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. When they let him score, and I told my son, I was like, dude, we need to punch it in. I said, because, and he's knowledgeable. He's like, we're like at the 20. We're like at the 15. I said, dude, unless it's an extra point, it's not guaranteed. No. It's just not. And then on this coaching search, Pat, you are not going to convince me that somebody reached out through the back channels. At least it might have been Kiffin. It might be Summerall. Somebody has reached through the back channels that they like and has said, yeah, I'll take that job. If you go ahead and pull the trigger, I will take that job right now.
I'm sure there's been some backdoor channeling going on.
I think that there's guys that they know will take it, but ultimately I do see one swing at a marquee guy just to see what his answer is going to be.
Here's the other thing that I know a lot of fan bases, they just don't – it's easy for people to spend other people's money. LSU, I was told a week ago, didn't have the money to buy out Brian Kelly. Didn't have it.
What?
And then all of a sudden, they had the money yesterday. Now, Matt Moscona kind of explained it on his podcast last night, and it makes perfect sense, that basically after the loss to Vandy, it appears a lot of money people at LSU, they kind of got together and they basically had enough money to pay the first year of his buyout, which is $10 million. So maybe it's a situation where they're trying to negotiate now with Brian Kelly instead of saying, hey, we owe you 53, but can we just pay you 10 now up front, and then we can space the 43 million that we owe you over the course of the next few years. Let's put it on a payment plan. Now, if I was Brian Kelly, I would tell him to get screwed, because you negotiated and I signed a contract. You're going to pay me my money. Well, however it's dictated out in the terms that we agreed on, you're going, why would Brian Kelly give LSU the benefit of the doubt and let me cut you a solid? That's ridiculous. Why would he do that?
And Brian, it's not his personality.
That's the first time he's been fired as a football coach.
Yeah. Why would you do that?
Exactly. Yeah, that's a huge leap of faith. And the only thing that was in my mind when I heard the news Sunday morning or Saturday night was, we got to pull the trigger now, or 13-5 is going to pull Lane Kiffin to Florida, and I think we can get Lane. I think if we offer him the same amount of money, get rid of Kelly, he'll come to LSU. And I guess my next question, I'll hang up. You're Lane Kiffin. Which job are you taking? Thanks, guys.
Well, I think –
appreciate it.
Well, again, I'm not trying to be an apologist for Ole Miss here. Whether it's
I'll back you up on this. Go ahead.
Whether it's Clark Lee in Nashville, whether it's Lane Kiffin in Oxford, at the end of the day, you do not have to go to these big name programs like you did 5-10 years ago to potentially play in the college football playoff or win a national championship. You don't have to be in Tuscaloosa. You don't have to be in Auburn. You don't have to be in Athens. You can be perfectly happy in a town like Oxford, Mississippi, or in Nashville, Tennessee, that there's a million other things going on besides Vanderbilt football, and you can be very, very successful.
Yeah. No, you summed it up. That's what everything has changed. If you can do it in Nashville, you can do it in Bloomington, you can do it in Oxford,
Bloomington's another outstanding example.
Man, you can do it anywhere. That's the nature of college football now. I just think it's very interesting that even a program like LSU owing as much money as they've got a governor in there, and then they get people that are decided, you know what, we got to move because while we have 53 invested in this guy, that we're going to owe this guy. Look at how much money we just put towards 5 and 3 for this starting lineup. Out of the portal, we paid $18 to $20 million.
Yep.
Not to mention all the other expenses. Fan bases booing Brian Kelly. You go ahead and you make the switch because it's maybe just take it into 3-year increments. But right now, revenue and the stream of revenue and trying to maintain that positivity, they can't have those dollars going away. And who knows? Maybe a loss to Texas A&M. It was one of those whiskey reactions we talk about, we kind of laugh about, that a lot of coaches have lost their jobs over, where you have a donor that last week said, I'm not stroking another red cent towards that program. And then he watched his team get embarrassed, and he went, you know what? How much you need from me?
Yeah. We will continue with your calls, your texts. We'll go to Louisiana coming up at the top of the hour. This is Reaction Monday on Jocks. It is 10:51. Back to the phones we go at 1-800-239-WJOX.
Let's go to T, who is in Birmingham. Hey, T, welcome in, three-man front.
Hey, fellas, how y'all doing?
We're doing well. Hope you are.
Hey, I want to get your guys' opinion on this. Okay, just hear me out right quick. Okay, Friday, me and a friend were talking, and he was bringing up John Summerall as far as the Auburn job because he said that he feels that he's the coach that can turn the Auburn job around. And fast forward, I told him Sunday, I said Auburn might not have a chance at Summerall because LSU might beat him to the punch. And I want to get you guys' opinion on this. Even playing field, which one is a better job, the Auburn job or the LSU job?
I would say, I'd say everything that you said up to that point, T, thank you for the phone call, is absolutely accurate. But better job, it's going to be LSU. You're the
flagship institution of the state.
No disrespect to any of the other schools, but everyone answers to you.
Yes.
You're LSU.
Mm-hmm.
And for a variety of other reasons. But the pressure is going to be at all of these places. Just ask Brian Kelly. Contract doesn't matter. You're going to have to win. You're going to have to win quick. But LSU would, in my opinion, be the better job.
Yeah. That's not a shot at Auburn. It's just the fact that we've talked about it before. In this state, you have a checks and balance between Alabama and Auburn. I mean, you have this state split right down the middle with which school that your allegiance is for, and a lot of money goes to two different places. Meanwhile, in the state of Louisiana, they're the flagship university. I mean, you can say all you want to about La Monroe or, La Tech or Tulane, whoever else you want to throw in the mix, but it pales in comparison to LSU. I mean, you have the governor of the state of Louisiana. He's making calls. I mean, he's the puppet master right now on what's going on. So,
I mean, it's probably a top 5 job in all of college football.
Yeah. And we all see, I mean,
not just the SEC, the entire country.
When Les Miles and Ed Orgeron can win a national championship at LSU, that's all you need to know. Those guys aren't Mensa members.
I would make the argument that all 16 jobs in the SEC should be in the top 25
easily
college coaches' jobs. The salary you're going to get, you're going to have a golden parachute when they fire you or when you decide to take another job.
Facilities will be off the chain good.
The pie cut, all of that.
The only job outside the SEC that I would say is definitively better than like an LSU right now would be Ohio State.
Yeah.
I think that's the only one outside of the conference.
Yep.
And yeah, I would have Oregon. That job would be
it'd be very high up there as well.
It would be in the top 25.
Oh, absolutely.
All right, we'll continue with your phone calls. Let's go to Mark. Mark, what's up?
Hey, guys. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well. Hope you are.
Well, I have a little after I make my call that I have to make all LSU fans happy, and he turns me down, Nick Saban, just make that call, let him say no. Okay, and then we move on to what I think is the hottest coach in all of college football. Pat just briefly mentioned his name a minute ago. But if the Alabama job came open, which I'm the biggest fan in the world of that program, the first call I'd want them to make is the guy that's the coach right now of a team in the SEC that I don't think is a top 25 job. The only job in the conference that I don't think is a top 25 job normally, and now is probably the hottest coach in the country. I know he's a grad there, so I understand that, and that means a lot. But Clark Lee would have to tell me no, because I think he is phenomenal. He's a disciplinarian. He has everybody bought in and believing. And I just think that coach right now would be the hottest ticket in the country for a job opening. And let's just be honest. Vandy, when they have ever been good in the last 50 years, has been a stepping stone to another job.
Thank you, Mark. We'll continue the conversation. What a fun Monday.
We begin hour number 2 on this Reaction Monday. Welcome back into Three-Man Front. A lot to talk about in regards to what happened in Columbia, South Carolina, as Alabama gets a big win 29-22 over the Gamecocks. Auburn, a rare win in SEC play, this time against Arkansas. But the story around college football is what took place officially yesterday afternoon in the state of Louisiana. And joining us, a good friend of the program, Sean Fox, outstanding sports talk show host there in The Boot in Ruston, Louisiana, 97.7 FM. Sean, just a quiet Monday, I'm sure, down in your neck of the woods.
Never a dull moment, boys. It is life with the LSU athletic department, particularly LSU football. Is again, I've covered LSU football for over 20 years now, and look, I know how passionate everybody is in the South, especially in your state. But they're really, as far as pure insanity, it's tough to beat what happens here.
Heading into Saturday night, if I said 1 to 10, 1 being not very likely, 10 being highly likely, if Brian Kelly and LSU, if I'd asked you, they go out and perform the way they did, what the likelihood was, where would you put it on that scale?
Well, okay, if you would have asked me going into the game if they would have lost, I would have answered this way. I would have said about a 5. I would have thought, and I did suspect, if LSU lost and it was, and the offense performed the way it was, I expected coaching staff changes over the weekend. But the way the game unfolded, and I mean, you're up 18-14, and then you end up 49-25. Tiger Stadium's completely empty. A&M fans are basically dunking on you in your stadium. The heat definitely ratcheted up then. So I think going into the game, about a 4 or 5. As the game progressed, that number was increasing dramatically. Did I think they would make the change? I did. Again, I thought there would be some staff changes, and I thought basically my feeling the last couple of weeks has been this. If LSU would have won, or a worst case scenario would have been 9-3, I thought he'd been fine. If they'd have been 8-4, I thought he would have gone into the season kind of like Les Miles' last year in limbo, and if they started slow, they'd make the change. I thought anything less than 8-4, they would have a serious conversation about making some changes. And obviously, the way that team looked last night, or Saturday night, it's looking more like a 7-5, 6-6 football team. So I know I didn't answer your question completely, but shocked but not that they ended up making the change.
All right, for those of us outside the state of Louisiana, can you kind of give us a primer on the relationship of the governor of the state of Louisiana in this whole process currently?
He is the kingfish. This is going back to Huey P. Long. This is probably the most, I don't want to say political savvy because that's not what I would say about him, but he is the most involved governor I've seen when it comes to athletics. I'm not just talking about LSU. I'm talking about across the board when it comes to the Saints and the Pelicans and Super Bowls. Like, he is intimately involved. And generally, I don't like politicians getting involved with politics, but this is the same guy that brought in the fake tiger named like Pablo Escobar from like a Joe Exotic Zoo last year for the LSU Alabama game, which might have actually started the downfall of LSU football that day. He's also the same guy who was like ridiculously uninformed on his opinion about the LSU women's basketball team and the anthem, and teams coming out for the anthem in college football, which doesn't happen across the country. So there's been a lot of things that Governor Landry has done with athletics that have absolutely just mind-boggled me. However, when it comes to this, he has been very involved. I think he is the reason that the move got made. And I will tell you, in this instance, and I shared this on our morning show today, I don't blame him, because LSU athletics, we're talking about dollars and cents here, is an economic driver for the entire state of Louisiana. You look at all the restaurants across the state and bars. When LSU is good, those places are packed. I mean, LSU is a billion-dollar, football particular, billion-dollar industry in this state. So, yeah, this is the rare time where I'm actually for the governor getting involved, because there's a lot of bottom lines involved in this. He is at the forefront of it.
Our buddy joining us here from the state of Louisiana, Sean Fox, talking LSU, the coaching change that is coming. So with Scott Woodward, athletic director there, what is your best guess as how instrumental he will be in the naming of a new football coach?
Well, I thought it was interesting that there was a meeting of Governor Landry and a lot of the LSU Board of Supervisors and some power players to make this done, and he wasn't involved from everything I've heard, which is kind of alarming. And I think obviously like he has done some good things, right? Under his watch, he hired Kim Mulkey. And from nobody cared about women's basketball. They care a lot about women's basketball now, and they won a national championship. He hired Jay Johnson, who LSU baseball means more there than anywhere else in the country, and he's won 2 national championships. He hired the gymnastics coach. Okay, it's gymnastics, but look, you want to win in everything, right? They won a national championship. So it's not like he's had completely terrible hires under his watch. He's actually had some really good hires. What has he also did? He bought out Coach O, which ended up costing a fortune. He gave one of the biggest buyouts to Jimbo Fisher. Now he's given one of the biggest buyouts. I think 1 and 2 biggest buyouts in college football history are now been given away or given out by Scott Woodward. I would think he would have to be in conversation of, is he going to be the athletic director going forward? I mean, that's kind of malpractice when you've given away that much money for guys to go away and not coach. And like I said, LSU baseball means a lot. I mean, a lot. It's probably the most second popular sport. No, it is the second most popular sport on campus. And obviously women's basketball means a lot now, but you can't bumble the football hire like this.
Sean, let me ask you about John Sumrall. It's someone that we know pretty well in the state of Alabama. He's a Huntsville guy. He, was head coach at Troy. He played football for Kentucky. He has done really, really well at Troy and now at Tulane. Could LSU people get over the fact that he's coaching down the road at Tulane? Could they hire a guy like John Sumrall to take over for Brian Kelly?
I think in years past, it'd be no. I think now he's definitely in the mix. I do think they're going big game fishing and big game hunting at first, and your audience is going to laugh. His name has been brought up. I don't even have to say his name for everybody to know who it is.
You're not really being serious there, are you?
No. I'm saying his name is brought up. I don't think it's going to happen. After he who shall not be named, I think Kiffin is obviously at the forefront of it. After that, I do think John Sumrall is in that. I think that guy, Kiffin, and then Sumrall's in the mix of like an Eli Drinkowitz, a Clark Lee. I think pie in the sky would be trying to get somebody like Dan Lanning. But I do think they're going to go big game hunting. I just don't think they're going to get the name that 95% of the fan base would, actually probably 100% of the fan base would melt if it actually happened, as would your fan base over there. I don't think it's going to happen, but yes, his name has been thrown out a lot. No, I'm not going to say it because it's not realistic, but good. What a story it would be.
No, I understand that.
John Sumrall in the mix for sure.
Okay.
Sure. Yeah, like he's probably that next tier but beneath that.
Okay, so let's play this game for a second. And this is not directed at you. I'm just curious at the fascination why anybody would believe that the person that we're not going to mention his name left a job because of the problems with today's athletes and NIL and transfer portal, and why at possibly 75 years old next year, he would come out of retirement to do that. That makes absolute no sense whatsoever. So and I would love to know why fans think that that's even a remote possibility.
Well, because you guys know this, and I know it's not directed at me, but fan is short for what? Fanatical.
Right.
And because he who shall not be named has said many times how much he enjoyed his time at LSU, and despite everything, and this was not a knock on Alabama, how he regretted leaving LSU to go to the Dolphins. So I think that makes people romanticize about, well, maybe it could happen again. And it would be I will pray every night till they hire a coach that it would happen. But realistically, for everything you just said, the way college athletics is now goes against everything that man stands for. So I don't think there's a big enough check. Maybe Miss Terry would take it. I mean, as she said on game the other day, but I don't think he would want it.
But to your point, Sean, it's kind of like the mindset I have if I ever buy a lottery ticket when I go to another state, because we can't buy them here in the state that I live in. But if I go and buy that ticket, I don't expect that ticket to hit. But what if? On the chance I happen to buy that ticket, I get that. As far as money goes, the money wasn't there. Now it's there to pay this big buyout. You're going to have to buy out an entire staff for the most part, bring in a new staff. Where is this money coming from?
Well, it's amazing how Louisiana doesn't have money, then all of a sudden he did.
Yeah.
It's going to look, in the grand scheme of things, you're going to have to pay Brian Kelly. You're going to have to pay a new staff. You got to pay NIL. You're looking between 110 and 125 by the time between it's all said and done. look, there's no secret. There's some real power players here. The guy who owns Canes, right? The guy who owns Walk-Ons. There's a huge attorney, Gordon McKernan, in town. Like look, there's oil and gas people here. It's here, and it is amazing what pissed off, motivated people will do when they're embarrassed. And I think that's where the program is right now. Where they're going to find it. Well, when you start messing with people's pride, it's amazing what will happen. So I think are we the richest state? No, but there's still plenty of people here with money. And I think, guys, and that's what it comes down to this. This is the thing about where we are, I think, in college athletics today. I think this firing under Brian Kelly happened because of where we are in college athletics so soon. Because when you ask everybody to come out of their own pocket, not just to buy season tickets, not for facilities, but to help pay players, and you have results like this, when you had a fifth-year starting quarterback who going into the season was a Heisman favorite, when you have the number one player in the transfer portal or the number one class in the transfer portal, and you're asking your fans to come up with $18 to $20 million, I think in the past, Brian Kelly might even make it another year. Today's day, expectations have changed drastically. So I just think this is the climate we're in, and this is why he who we will not talk about probably not want to jump back into it.
Yeah, and you're right, Sean, because I think we continue to see this being the trend at schools where if you got a pretty good feeling that this is not going to be your coach of the future, go ahead and you cut off the head, right? And you get those kind of reactionary in the moment, I've had enough of this responses, because there is a ton of money, not only the money you're going to have to pay that coach, but also the money you just convince people to infuse into your program for a transfer portal class that sits at 5-3.
Because how likely are you to get that same money next year if you have these results?
Exactly.
You had to do something, because I'm not giving away any money, but I get it. Like, hey, man, I gave you $1 million or I gave you $500,000, and this is the results, and you're going to come back to me for next year with this guy? Absolutely not.
All right, Sean, as we did the postmortem on Brian Kelly and what went wrong this year, was there one particular thing that jumped out to you why this team has obviously not lived up to the expectations that we had leaving Atlanta?
I think what was the game against Vanderbilt was kind of a microcosm of the Brian Kelly era. When you had a good offense, you didn't have good defense. The year you had a good defense, for the most part, against the Vanderbilt game, your offense somewhat showed up and the defense wasn't there. It's never, for whatever reason, been able to be on the same page. And I know a lot of people talk about culture, and that's been the popular word, and it kind of makes me roll my eyes because, look at Kalen DeBoer. This is a West Coast guy, right? He seems to be doing pretty good. Nick Saban, before he came to LSU, had never coached outside of the Midwest or the North, right? He'd never been in the South. But he never seemed to give people here the warm fuzzies. And I think winning would have changed that, but it just never clicked. And I'm not so sure he fully embraced being in Louisiana. And I know dang sure from the very beginning, people here never really embraced him. And again, I thought look, sometimes you got to own it, right? I thought it was a grand slam hire at the time. Like, oh, dude, you got the winningest coach in Notre Dame's history. Who's got a resume out there like this? I was wrong. It just never worked.
And I think that
never did.
We're gonna continue to see weird and out of the ordinary for this season. Think about this: the way that Alabama started in Tallahassee, where they sit right now.
That's the biggest upset of the season to me right now.
Right, but also think about Brian Kelly finally getting over the hump. You go to Clemson, South Carolina to start the season. You finally get that game.
Yep.
And how many games later you find yourself fired? It's just it's weird. It's a new day.
You get over the hump. You finally win that first game. You start 5-0. It's like, okay, it's not clicking, but eventually it will. And then, it's microcosm. You're up 18-14 at halftime against the number 3 team in the country. Less than 24 hours later, you're out of a job.
And as it appears right now, you got Texas A&M that could win a championship. I didn't say the national title, but they're going to make the postseason. And short of throwing up all over themselves, you got an Ole Miss team that's going to make the postseason. Add to the weird.
And to make it weirder, possibly Vanderbilt.
I was saving that one.
All right, before we let you go, Sean, as of this moment, this is the Monday after, and I know you've kind of thrown out a couple of names, but if you were putting odds right now at the pecking order, not who's going to take the job, but just the pecking order in regards to who LSU, that list that they have, what does it look like in your opinion?
Besides that guy, Kiffin.
Okay.
Lanning.
Okay.
Summerall, Drinkowitz, Lee, in any particular order, but Kiffin being number one.
Okay.
A.
So you
1A.
So you do believe Summerall is high on that list?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I mean, what he's doing, like we saw what he did at Troy, and sometimes you get over yourself. Like you can't hire a guy like it's beneath you to hire a G6 coach who's doing a really good job, and if you don't hire him, somebody in the SEC is very, very soon.
Yeah, very soon.
He's going to have a big job when
And
it's
again,
all said and done.
He might have Tulane in the playoffs this year, so somewhere LSU's not going to be.
Yeah, that is true. Sean, always great to catch up with you, man. Needless to say, you guys will be very, very busy, just like there's all sorts of hot seat watches here in our state down the road off 280. So,
yeah. Hey, look, but it feeds us, right? It feeds the engine. There's nothing like a good coaching search, and I can't wait to see how many times that guy's name is popping up on the text line today.
All right. There you go. All right, Sean. Have a good
Appreciate
afternoon,
it,
man.
boys.
Talk to you
too.
soon. Thanks.
Thanks,
That's
guys.
Sean
See you.
Fox from 97.7 and Ruston, Louisiana. He joined us on the Higginbotham Hotline. Higginbotham is your one-source solution for insurance, financial, and HR services.
Yeah, you got a great opportunity to chime in, and you can certainly do so. 800-239-WJOX. The text line is open, 205-834-9450.
Well, as football season moves on, you know that means changes in the weather are coming, and you need to protect your HVAC system with a checkup from a trained comfort specialist so that when the cold weather hits, you'll have peace of mind that you're protected by America's most reliable and trusted brand. So go and find a comfort specialist near you at train.com. It's hard to stop a train.
What is the chain reaction of Brian Kelly being fired at LSU due to the pool of candidates and potentially other firings that could come our way down the road? We'll discuss it. Phone lines are open to you. We continue the Monday edition of Reaction Monday on Three Man Front.
Back on Reaction Monday, this is Jock's three-man front. Pat Landrum, Molly Conrad with you until 2 o'clock. No Kalen DeBoer press conference this week. Bama is off, getting ready for LSU. We will hear from Bill Clark at 1. Hugh Freeze scheduled at 1:30. It's halftime of the kickoff sales event at Courtesy GMC. Right now, up to $15,000 off remaining 2025 Sierra 1500s and 2500s. The absolute lowest prices you're going to find anywhere in the state of Alabama. The all-new 2026 Sierras, they are rolling in daily in their 9 acres of inventory. And for a limited time, those 2026 Sierras, they are marked at 2025 model year pricing. And remember, every new GMC comes with Courtesy's exclusive 7-year, 100,000-mile powertrain warranty. So get by and see them today, right off of I-459, exit 32, or visit their online inventory at courtesybirmingham.com.
We will get to your text, but first, your phone calls 800-239-WJOX. Let's go to John in Tuscaloosa. John, welcome into Three-Man Front.
Hey, guys. Good to hear from y'all again. Before I make a comment and a question about Ryan, I do have a comment on the coaching search. A suggestion. I like throwing off the wall names out that nobody kind of thinks of, but a friend of the show has experience in the SEC, recruiting in and all around the Louisiana area, and it would definitely be a pay raise from the job he's got now, and that'd be one Rhett Lashley. I think it would be a job he would have to think about, but I don't think he would leave because he knows he's got an easier access to the playoffs where he's at. My question about Ryan, and I'll ask and I'll hang up and I'll make point why I asked this. I kind of wondering if moving Ryan to inside slot receiver has not been a failed experiment. And the reason why I say that, if you go watch all the games, anytime him and Jeremy's lined up side by side and Jeremy's running a breakoff route from where he runs, you can actually watch Ryan point, telling Jeremy when to break off. You go back 2 weeks ago when he had that big third down catch over the middle, you had the tight end inside him come off, run the little hook route. He ran the little in route behind it. He did the exact same thing, telling the tight end where to come. I think it's his instincts are so much on that outside. I think that's why he has so many drops. He's trying to concentrate on what to do, where to go, where his mind is so instinctively on that outside. And I think that's what's causing his drops. I think that's and he's not a great route runner anyway, at least not yet. And I think that's what kind of hurts him on that inside. I really think they should swap him and Jeremy. Jeremy has proven to be that switchblade. I think that would be a better position. I'll hang up, listen. Y'all have a great day, guys.
Thank you. Hey, listen, that is an excellent breakdown of Ryan Williams. That was one of the questions that when they moved him to the slot, how was he going to be able to maneuver and be able to be the kind of person that they need him to be. He was targeted 11 times on Saturday. He had 7 receptions for 72 yards. And unfortunately, that drop, Conrad, he had on that third down, that was continuing the theme for whatever reason. And it's unfortunate for Ryan, but he's now got the reputation of, instead of being that guy that's going to make these incredible catches and be your catalyst, is now it's that moniker that's attached to him, is the fact that he's dropping a lot of easy balls.
Yeah, it certainly is an issue. And I will say this. All right, the pass that he dropped on Saturday, should he have caught it? 100%. Was it a good pass? No, it was tipped, and it was again, it wasn't a great throw. But that's the catch that you have to make in that situation if you're Ryan Williams. And I mean, he said it this year, but it's clearly a mental thing. And I think kind of what that caller was talking about with him lining up in the slot and going over the middle is you can just feel, he's not a big guy. And it seems very apparent that he doesn't like getting hit. And that seems to affect his ability to make catches at times. So I do think that overall he's been better. I mean, again, 7 catches for 70-plus yards. That's not a bad day by any stretch, but he is not the Jeremiah Smith type player that I think a lot of people were expecting him to be for the full season. And you just wonder, right, is that going to come back and bite you again like it did the big drop touchdown against Georgia? Is that something that down the stretch, in big moments, he's not able to come through for you, and that's why you maybe lose a football game at some point?
When you continue with your phone calls, let's go to Dylan. Hey, Dylan.
Hey, good morning, guys. How is everybody?
Doing well. Hope you are.
Doing well. A rainy day, cloudy day, great. But I want to just pump the brakes on my Auburn Tigers. I mean, they brought in Ashton Daniel, just before halftime. Not thoroughly impressed, although it was a sample size. He did miss a wide open Malcolm Simmons in the end zone. I see too many comments about, oh my goodness, we got to start him. We got to start him. It's just, I didn't see the offense do anything any more than what Jackson Arnold had done. He still only scored 7 points, and that come from a Jackson Arnold throw. So let's pump the brakes on thinking that this is a cure-all for Auburn Tigers. And if the administration would let me, I'll put in a little bit of money if we go after James Franklin.
Have you been hearing from Auburn folks that everything is kumbaya now with the offense?
It's about 50-50. Those of us with half a brain and some intelligence knows the offense is not fixed.
No.
Then you have those, Ashton Daniels for Heisman. He needs to start from now on. No worse than as bad as we've been. I would have just pulled both of them and put Deuce Knight in and took our lumps and let this 5-star get his repetitions and experience. So if we'd have known it would have turned out like this anyway. But those are my thoughts. What is your guys' opinion on it and everything? But I would really love to have James Franklin or Rhett Lashley.
Dylan, thank you. I will only echo what you said about the offense. I saw the same thing too. And you were fortunate that your defense was able to get the takeaways and set you up for scores or score themselves with a Rayshon Pleasant pick 6. Could not have been much of a worse fourth quarter than it was for Arkansas offensively. So as far as James Franklin, I don't know. That will be I'm sure, sexy name among fans because we conveniently forget why he was fired at Penn State 2 weeks ago.
So just talking about the Auburn offense quickly, was Ashton Daniels better, worse, or as expected for you getting to see him? Because I thought, honestly, his numbers weren't eye-popping, but he looked poised.
He did.
He looked like he was in control of the offense. Now, he wasn't.
He's a graduate of Stanford. I mean, I think he's a pretty intelligent young man. I mean,
yes, but I'm just saying, you could see guys going in that situation and not looking poised the way that he did. I'm not saying that he's going to lead them to
It will be
wins the
interesting
rest
to
of the way,
see
but
after first-team reps what they come out and look like. I'm just hallelujah for DJ Durkin if you're in that defense, if you're an Auburn fan.
So you look at the 5 worst offenses in the Southeastern Conference as they stand on this Monday morning. You got Florida that is at number 12. They fired their head coach, who was the play caller. You fired him. At 13 is Kentucky, and never know about Mark Stoops, whether he's going to be back or not. At number 14 in the conference is LSU. You just fired its head coach. And by the way, everyone left on the staff, the offensive play caller was fired this morning, so he's gone. Then you got Auburn, next to last in the Southeastern Conference. Even after that just incredible offensive performance against Arkansas, you're still next to last in the Southeastern Conference in total offense per game. And not one single thing has changed from a personnel standpoint on that staff.
Here's what changes, though.
0.
Your next 2 SEC games, you're going to play markedly better defenses than the one you face Saturday. So let's see how that offense looks.
Yes, that is absolutely true.
The trade-off would be maybe not as well. Vanderbilt's really good on offense, and they're just different the way that they approach it. But
I will say this:
you should have success against Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean Kentucky's defense is currently 14th in the conference in total defense. Now Vandy is 8th. So Vandy is middle of the pack.
And I just wonder if Kentucky, now those guys on that squad have now officially kind of tapped out. Looked like they tapped out when Auburn played them in Lexington last year, especially in the second half when Jarquez Hunter ran for however many he wanted.
Yeah. We will continue with your calls, your texts as well. This is Reaction Monday on Jocks.
11:32, three-man front on this Reaction Monday. Hugh Freeze, press conference, Auburn, 1:30. We're going to carry it, as we typically do. No Kalen DeBoer presser today with the bye week after Alabama's come-from-behind win. They're in Columbia, South Carolina. We'll continue with the phone calls. A lot of reaction to Brian Kelly being fired yesterday at LSU, potential replacements, how that could impact other potential job openings, existing job openings, all of that good stuff. 800-239-WJOX. Let's go to Dave. He's in Hoover. Hey, Dave.
Well, I was going to talk about Brian Kelly, but the last two callers, man, so two of them. Guy said he'd pay a little extra money to have James Franklin come into Auburn. What has that guy done? Every time he had a chance at Penn State to do some damage because he had people coming back, he'd always screw it up and lose to somebody he had no business losing to and get knocked out of contention. And then the quarterback for Auburn that comes in, I didn't get to see it. I heard he looked pretty good, but my God, I would look poised facing that Arkansas defense. I mean, that Arkansas defense can't play dead in a bad Western movie. They're terrible. Probably one of the worst defenses in the entire country.
Yep.
So I'd pump the brakes on that a little bit. But, you know, okay, Lane Kiffin, if it were me, I'd go to Florida before I went to Ole Miss. But he's got a son, I believe. We talked about that at Oxford High School. Daughter goes to Ole Miss. I think he might use this as an opportunity for Ole Miss to give him more money. But I can't see him leaving, to be honest with you.
Can't either.
I mean, work-life balance has a lot to do with this stuff.
I don't see it either. I think at the end of the day, Lane Kiffin, maybe he's a little bit richer there in Oxford, Mississippi, but why would you leave?
He'll end up with a statue. Exactly. Yep. All right, guys. Hey, enjoy your show.
Hey, thank you, Dave. We appreciate the phone call. Let's go to Poe. Hey, Poe. Welcome in.
Man, hey, good morning, my peeps. I love y'all, man. Y'all doing a great job, man. Like Conrad stated, everything good about Lane Kiffin. You know what I'm saying? About what he hadn't won the championship or whatever. And I like Lane. Don't get me wrong. Being a Mississippi State fan, I'm going to get to them real quick. But my thing is with coaches, man, everybody calling out names. Conrad has heard me. The thing that made me dislike teams is when people go and put the coaches on a pedestal, and the coach you put the coach there, but he had done that. I like Bill Belichick. Man, I watched North Carolina just to see Bill Belichick lose, and they lost. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I do. Conrad hear me talk when I call into the show in the morning. Conrad, he already know how I am about stuff about coaching, hiring, and everything. I mean, people calling out names. Charles Huff, he left Marshall. He went to Southern Miss. He got the Bo Elba. Nobody called his name out. I mean, I'm just calling out a name because everybody else calling out names.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But I'm just calling out Charles Huff. So, and another thing, and I just want to get y'all opinion, and y'all just talk to me. Mississippi State, man, and it's not Jeff Lebby. It's not the coach. I like the coach. I just need my team with me. I just need a quarterback, man. It's just that. They done finished right now. I counted up away from Texas A&M. They should be 7-1. You know what I'm saying?
So you're telling me they're close too?
Yes, and I'm a diehard Mississippi State fan, and everybody know this. People would text me, man. They was up 38-21, and I knew they was gonna lose, man, because I just know my team, and everybody thought the game was over. And I know being there at Mississippi State. It's going to be hard to attract a good quarterback, but with Jeff Lebby, I like Jeff Lebby. I like the coach. I like what he's doing. I just need a good quarterback on my team, man, to sustain in the SEC. You know what I'm saying? I'm just trying to get bowl eligible, babe. Right at this point, hey, your boy Poe just trying to get bowl eligible. But no, man, but Mississippi State, they be close, y'all. But I just need a good quarterback down there. But look, hey, that's all I got to say. Conrad, talk to you in a couple of days, man.
Thanks, Poe.
Y'all keep doing what you're doing, and I love y'all.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Man. Yeah, I love Poe. Poe gets an opportunity when he can on Tuesdays to join us at Social Taco from 10 until 2. So, yeah, I mean, man, what a game. Unfortunately for Mississippi State fans, just another loss. They have lost 16 straight Southeastern Conference games.
You're up 17 with 10 minutes left.
FBS teams had gone 429 straight games when trailing by at least 17 points with 10 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter.
So you're telling me they're finding ways to lose games?
I'd say giving up an 80-yard punt return with a minute and a half left for a touchdown. Yeah, that's bad way to lose a game.
So since we're talking about the coaching carousel, you got to talk about what happened before the game between Texas and Mississippi State. Diana Rossini, who's an outstanding reporter for The Athletic, been covering the NFL for years. If you go and you read her whole story, this was not like the big story. The blurb about Steve Sarkisian was on the back end of a notes column because the NFL owners meeting was the week before, and she was basically cleaning out her notebook with information about all sorts of things around the NFL. And this was a very small blurb, but it got picked up on Saturday morning, and it basically said, according to the Athletics' Diana Rossini, representatives for Sarkisian have made it known to the NFL decision makers that the coach would be open to potentially be a head coach in openings in the NFL. Rossini shared the update Saturday morning ahead of Texas's matchup against Mississippi State, saying the following: I'm told that representatives for Texas coach Steve Sarkisian have left NFL decision makers know that he would be interested in potential head coaching openings, including the Titans. That was what she wrote in her notes portion of her column. It was not the headline. It was not the main genesis of the whole story. It was just a blurb, but it got sent out on social media. Then all of a sudden, something that you do not see happen, you had Jimmy Sexton and CAA release a statement saying any reports regarding the communications on coaching opportunities with NFL teams are patently false and wildly inaccurate. Sark is solely focused on coaching the University of Texas football team. So immediately after the game, in which his Longhorns was on the cusp of losing, becoming the first team to lose to Mississippi State in conference play in years, he had this to say.
I'd love to touch on this, so bear with me for a second, because it really pisses me off that one person can make a report that in turn the entire media sports world runs with as factual, to the point of my agency and my agents have to put a statement out that they never have done. Historically, CAA, Jimmy Sexton, and Ed Manowitz have never do that. But I had to do that to protect my locker room and my team. And I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I thought it was completely unprofessional of that person to put that report out. And the fact that everybody ran with it is borderline embarrassing for the media. And I respect what you guys do. I really do, and everybody else. But the fact that everybody ran that as truth is really embarrassing. Okay, so I've got a small circle when I make decisions on what I do and what I don't do, and nobody would speak on my behalf without me knowing. And so where that report came from, I'd love to talk to that person because it's absolutely ridiculous.
The next question had to have been, so if the Titans called you tomorrow, would you take the phone call? I know that wasn't the next question, but that would have been gold.
She said, I'm told that representatives for Texas coach Steve Sarkisian have let NFL decision makers know that he would be interested in potential head coaching openings, including the Titans. When she is there mingling with all of these different franchises at the owners meeting, somebody obviously that she felt pretty comfortable telling her that, hey, Steve Sarkisian, his people are letting it be known to some folks that he would be open to a job.
Well, and why wouldn't he be open to a job? He's in the middle of one of the most disappointing seasons in modern football history, and you have a chance to go to the NFL. Let's just say it's the Titans. You want to come coach the former #1 overall pick at quarterback in Cam Ward? You want to go play in that $1 billion stadium that's going to be open in a couple of years? You want to live in Nashville, Tennessee? Why wouldn't you? You'd be stupid not to take the phone call. Not saying he would take the job, but...
But he's staring 7-5 and a boatload of criticism in the
yeah.
offseason in the face.
And you can't have... Well, he was distracted all year long because he was headed for the NFL. That's why they didn't make the playoffs.
So why did Jimmy Sexton feel the need to release that statement? It's never been done before. Why? It was in a notes column.
Probably because based on Steve Sarkisian's performance this year, there are not NFL jobs that would be interested in hiring him. Not the other way around.
It sounds like a client that got really paranoid and was blowing up his agent's phone, and his agent saying, just settle down, and him going, no, I really feel like there is a need for you to put this out there.
Why didn't they put out a statement for Lane Kiffin last week?
Oh, there's a really good reason for that. I just, he's been unhinged this year with the media. Talking about people's bathroom habits and
So who's been unhinged this year with the media? Brian Kelly, disappointing season. Steve Sarkisian, disappointing season. Shane Beamer, disappointing season. It's kind of funny how that works, isn't it?
Yeah.
You start getting a little chippy when things aren't going your way.
Well, James Franklin, he was chippy last year.
Well, yeah. He's just chippy. Funny how that happens, though.
Yeah, it is.
Have a little pressure on you and lose your cool a little bit.
I mean, I think we all agree. I mean, Diana Rossini is one of the most respected people in the NFL when it comes to NFL insiders. So I don't, and you have to put it in the context. Now, I understand that the way that it was put out on social media, it definitely gave the impression to some people that that was the genesis, or I guess the theme of her entire article, and it wasn't. I mean, I think she tweeted it out because, now I will give her credit. You send it out on a Saturday morning of game day. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, she knew what she was doing. By the way, last time I looked, it had 8.5 million engagements on Twitter. 8.5 million. It's pretty good.
Also, what has Steve Sarkisian done already in his coaching career? Left college football for the NFL. It's already happened once.
Mm-hmm. And it will happen again.
Wouldn't be surprised in the slightest.
How many conference titles does he won at Texas?
That would be 0.
The same number you have.
Yeah. Just making sure. And his team is, 6-2, and he's got 3 ranked opponents left. You got Vanderbilt in there. That'll be fun.
Yeah, it's this week.
Georgia, who you had so much success with last year in 2 meetings. And then Texas A&M, who right now eye test tells me is better than your football team.
Yeah. We'll see.
Enjoy the art scene of Austin in the offseason.
If you're tired of worrying about your roof, whether it's your family home or a commercial building, Abide Roofing delivers tailored solutions for every need. At Abide Roofing, it's about more than just a new roof. It's about a team of highly skilled pros who bring their A game to every single job. They work with precision and pride, using only the best materials to guarantee durability and lasting value. With over 25 years of trusted experience, they have the expertise to get the job done right the very first time. I had some issues a couple years ago. I called Travis Lloyd at Abide Roofing. He came, got on my roof. He checked it out, found out that I had massive problems. Matter of fact, I had leaking in my attic, also into my house, had a new roof replacement, and I put all the trust in Travis and the Abide Roofing team. They also dealt with my insurance company, which was huge. So get started today, 205-941-6223 for a free consultation and estimate. There's no obligation, just solid advice. Go to their website, abideroof.com. That's ABIDE roof.com. Abide Roofing, quality, precision, and customer satisfaction every single time. Call Travis and his great local roofing team, 205-941-6223.
More of your reaction as 3-Man Front continues.
So we were just talking about the Texas game against Mississippi State. If you remember the game, Arch Manning was dinged up in the game. Matter of fact, he stayed on the ground for a little while as they were attending to him. Well, just news just out of Austin, Texas a moment ago. Arch Manning has a concussion, and he is now in concussion protocol. He did not practice this morning as the Texas Longhorns get ready for the Vanderbilt Commodores this weekend in Austin. So repeating the news, out of Austin, Arch Manning suffered a concussion in the Mississippi State game, did not practice today, and he is currently in concussion protocol.
Ooh, that's just what you want when you got to face Diego Pavia this weekend. I will say,
Matthew Caldwell came in and did
that was a nice throw
Sure
in overtime
was.
for the touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
That was a nice throw.
Yep.
We'll see what he's got moving forward.
What's the line, the early line on that game?
Bear with me a second, and I can get that for you.
205-834.
I thought it was 6.
9450.
I'm looking right now. It says Texas 2.5. Is what I'm
2.5.
looking at.
Okay.
Maybe that's factoring in the Arch news.
A lot of comments on the text line. Best way to sum it up. 205-834-9450. Posey saying or asking, would Lane's daughter sign off on the move to LSU?
I think Witt has one more year left, so that could be fun.
Max says Brian Kelly was just a bad fit from the word go.
Yeah.
Did anyone say Ole Miss losing one game so far in the season with this roster, better roster than last year, better coaching this year?
They've exceeded my expectations.
Arkansas versus South Carolina. Hogs better, says Mark. Close losses to Texas A&M, Ole Miss, Vols. South Carolina lost big to Mizzou, Oklahoma, and LSU. I guess he was comparing the two wins by Alabama and Auburn over the weekend. Mizzou was a 29-20 game, I think. Somewhere in there.
Something like, for South Carolina, yeah. You're spot on, I think.
Lost, if I can remember correctly, double digits or 10 to LSU and Oklahoma.
I'm trying to remember. South Carolina, they got smoked by Oklahoma. Lost it by 24 to Vanderbilt. Look, South Carolina is not a great team. They have two very good players.
Environment made it tougher. Made that the tougher game, too.
Yeah, and I think look, again, not making excuses for Alabama. There's a lot to be critical of that game. But I think it wasn't the biggest shock in the world that after playing 4 ranked opponents, you came out flat. You can't do that, but I don't think it was a big shock.
In all of this, someone asking the question, when does Mark Stoops get fired at Kentucky?
Now they don't want to pay the
Never.
$30-something million buyout.
Got to find a landing spot.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. If you're paying attention, and you're probably not, because they're an ACC team, and they fired their coach a month and a half ago. Virginia Tech's 3-2 under Philip Montgomery. Now, I know that they've said they're going all in. I'm not really sure who they would go get, but I mean, does Virginia Tech just take an easy road and give it to Philip Montgomery, who's the interim head coach, and just use that money on the roster? But do you have the faith that Philip Montgomery is going to be able to go and bring guys to Blacksburg?
Go all in for 1 year, see what happens? Be interesting.
See, in my opinion, Virginia Tech offer a lot of money or I say a lot of money, relative. I mean, swing for the fences. If there's a guy, he's going to have to tell you no. But like an Alex Golish at South Florida. I realize what happened this past weekend, but someone with some energy, some excitement.
Well, I think that's an interesting job, too, because, I mean, who knows what's going to happen with Norvell at Florida State. Carson Beck's going to go to the NFL. So, I mean, Miami will still probably be good, but what are they going to get to replace? Like, the ACC should be wide open next year. So, if you're Virginia Tech, you can probably sell going all in for 1 year because you think you have a path.
Nick from North Birmingham text, I think with Brian Kelly out at LSU, does this actually mean Hugh Freeze won't be fired? Auburn's job would not be in the top 5 job openings with the current schools looking. It does make it interesting, to say the least. Who all's looking right now? Because all right, Florida's looking. You think Florida's a better job than Auburn?
I do, yeah.
Why?
I think the location of it, you're the only team in that state. And I just think the problem
Florida?
a lot of the problem with Auburn
Florida.
is bad. You think Auburn's a better job than Florida?
I think that they're equal right now, if anything. But you say you're the only job in that state.
Well, I
What are
mean,
you
in the
talking about?
SEC, in terms of competing for other, you're not competing against Alabama like you are if you're Auburn. But also, Auburn's last 5 years, why would you want to coach there?
Money, getting paid, resources.
Well, yeah, but I'd rather go to Florida and do that. Auburn's been abysmal. Florida hasn't been great, but they've been better than Auburn.
In the last 5 years.
Absolutely.
So you're going to base it on 5 years?
Do you want to go back 10 years, 20 years? It's still Florida.
Yeah, we can go back that far. Who's the last team to win a national title, Auburn or Florida?